Aleichem Bezrat Hashem. Aleichem Shalom. Our learning should, with the help of Hashem, bring tremendous light to all of humanity, to bring tremendous clarity for humanity, to bring goodness for the whole world, and bring more consciousness into the world by learning Hashem's Torah. Because Hashem and the Torah is one. And therefore, when we learn Hashem's Torah, we are attaching ourselves to Hashem. So we're in the story now. Haman made a giant gallows. How tall?
40 amos.
50 amos.
Ooh.
I think I know why.
What's another 20 feet here or there? Yeah.
Is it so he would get us to the 50th level of impurity?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Anytime that you see numbers in Jewish thought, there's always a mystical correlations. The number 50 is always a big one, the Nun Share Bina.
Can't come back from that.
That's what, well, interesting you should mention that. That when the Jews left Egypt, it says we were on the 49th level of Tumah. And we were about to slip to the 50th. Which meant, like David so beautifully said, if we would have, even though the Jewish people never use the word damnation, because it's not a Jewish concept, because there's always hope, there's always tshuva.
Is it? From the 50th
Yeah.
level?
Oh yeah.
I thought that was just like,
well,
you've literally corrupted yourself so much.
Funny you should mention that.
Even the 51st.
So, at that time, if we would have hit 50, that's why we were 1 millisecond, 1 nanosecond away from 50. That's why God pulled us out by our payas. Good thing that's why we have them. You never know. You got to get pulled.
Back then like that?
Yeah.
Like Hasid's
Come
face?
on.
Really? I was thinking
So-
all of them with just long hair.
They're all nazars. I think everyone had just the right pass for them. The Chassidim had pass like this, the Litvish had pass like this.
Cover up the ears.
The Temani had the pass, that's right. So, it's true. When you look into Chazal, there was more jewelry on both sides. So good thing God pulled us out at the last second. However, says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh so famously, that the risk of not being able to come back from the 50th level of Tumah was only before the Torah was given. I know, it touches me. I'm like getting all goosebumps right now. But after the Torah was given, even the 50th level, a Yid could come back from. And all the tzaddikim say, we're at 50. We're at 50, yeah. The Getchkelas.
What about like Ishmael?
He's the 50th level of Kedusha. That's why you hold on to the tzaddik. That's it. That's what you want to be holding on to.
Is the 50th level of Kedusha, is that transcendence?
Yeah, that's the Nun Shari Bina. That's the 50th level. Bina is called the world to come. Bina is a code word for the world to come. Bina. A world of just going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper in understanding God. Good days are coming, my friends. I just want you to get ready for that. The world to come is coming. And all we're going to be doing all day long is just learning Torah deeper and deeper and deeper. Lasid Lavai, there's no massive mutton, there's no more business, there's no shtia, there's no achila. El tzadikim yoshvim ve'achroiseim berasheim, like the Gemara says in Brachos Yud Zayin, I believe, that the tzadikim sitting there with crowns on their head, the crowns of Torah, the Nasav and Nishma, and we're learning Torah. The greatest pleasure there is. That is your food. That is your drink. We're going to be learning Torah all day long. Yeah, Ezra Oz.
How come Torah is like that relevant in the next world? It helps us guys in this life with like business and.
Excellent. That's only one level of Torah. Remember, Torah is one with Hashem. The Torah is very, very, very high. Why did the angels make such a big machloikus with Moshe Rabbeinu? Remember what happened when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to heaven to get the Torah? A famous story. Moshe Rabbeinu is going up to heaven to get the Torah. So what happened? He gets intercepted by some angelic posse. And they say, Mali Yalud Isha Beinin. What is this man of flesh and blood doing up here? So the answer is to get the Torah. So they said, he's born of a mortal. Tanu hoidcha l'shamayim, give us the Torah. Let us, the angels, have the Torah. So Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, answer them, Moshe. So what did Moshe say? I'm scared. I'm scared. There's fire coming out of their mouths. I know where all the movies get it from. So Hashem said, don't be scared. Grab onto my kisei hakavod. I'm with you. And answer them, Moshe. So Moshe says, Maksiva, what does it say in the Torah? So, keep Shabbos. So he says to the angels, did you have to work for 6 days? That you need a day of Shabbos? No. Again, Maksiva, don't murder. Do you angels, you have hatred between you that there's murder? No. Maksiba, honor your parents. Do you angels have parents? Maksiba, just kept going through every single thing. Did you go down to Egypt that you had to be taken in? No, Maksiba. So, the angels acquiesce. He's right. So, the obvious question is, and by the way, we had a whole class on this, that even the angels had to give gifts to Moshe because he was in some way embarrassed. And they had to show respect to the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu. So, and all the angels had to give gifts. And you know what angel also had to give a gift? The angel of death. Bum, bum, bum. What was the gift from the angel of death?
Life.
What's the secret of life? Crazy. You guys know this? The Ketores. The secret of the incense offering.
What is that? Wait, I'm sorry.
The incense offering in the Beis HaMikdash. You know those 11 spices? Oh yeah. That stuff, where you're like, oh, like that stuff just at the beginning of the siddur that I always just skip over? Like, that's where the secret to avoid death is? Oh, I just passed by it. It's like, whoops, you know? Yeah.
If you didn't mess one foot, you die.
You don't mess around with that. Don't mess around with it. Don't interrupt while you're saying the 11. Just say the 11. That's right. So, that's right. So, in there lies all the secrets. So, the angel of death gave that to Moses. So, the obvious question is, the angels they wanted it. He said, the Torah belongs to us. I just brought you all sorts of proofs that said it's not even relevant to you. So why do they want it?
Because they thought we weren't worthy of it. Maybe.
But what was it for them? That's the seeming question. Oh, it belongs to us. What does it have to do with you? The answer is the Torah would be learned on higher and higher and higher levels. What you see as the letters that make up "and the Jews left Egypt," well, what do those letters look like if you just start stripping away the external part of the letters and you start going to the spiritual meaning of the letters and to the gematria of the letters, the numerical values of the letters? Then you start jumbling the letters around. Then you start reading it with codes and you start saying, oh. Yeah, and then you start reading the white part of the Torah scroll. Yeah, Menachem, where you been hanging out? What Sunday school you going to? I don't teach you the white part? The white parchment, the white fire.
Between the black letters.
That's right.
It's like is that a space between
Space between the notes. The Mukaf Gvil, the Revach Ben Aparshias. That stuff is the Ikr. When you come to yeshiva, we hope that, yes, we have a responsibility to teach you the black letters. You know, if your tefillin are pink, they're puzzle. You know, like, that's black. You know, if you say Shema and mispronounce the words, so you're not Yotzi. Like, you need to know halachas. If you don't eat matzah on the 15th of Nisan at night, you were mevatel a mitzvah saseh. Like, you need to, that's all black. But what about the white fire? What's matzah? Yehuda. What is the stuff? What is matzah? What's a mezuzah? I know how to write it. Like, no, but what is it? What light of God is inside the mezuzah? Let's talk about that. That's in the white fire. How can I arouse deep feelings of love for Hashem? How can I have a better relationship with my wife and my kids? That's the stuff that's in the white fire. There's some in the black also, but there's a lot more white fire in a Sefer Torah than black letters. So we hope when you come to Yeshua that we also teach you about the white fire. So now, yes, Haman was the 50th level of Tumah, back to 50. And we're going to see that the very same gallows that he wanted to make Haman impure, Mordechai is going to put him on that same place. He's going to turn it from the 50th level of Tumah to the 50th level of Kedusha. And that's Olam Haba. Oh, so what happened? We're in Pasuk Yud Daled. Emor lamelech v'yitlu es Mordechai alav uboyim hamelech el hamishte samech v'yita v'adavar lifnei Haman v'yas ha'etz. And he made the eights. Okay, here we go. Balayla Perek Vav, the 6th chapter. And it was on that night Nodada shenas hamelech, that the king couldn't sleep well. The king couldn't sleep well. Nodada shenas hamelech. Why couldn't he sleep well? Few pshatim. One, the king was perturbed. Why did Esther invite Haman? Like, what was up with that whole thing, you know? She came in not being invited, like we spoke about. And then the one thing she says, and I want to tell you the greatest thing, and whatever you want, my love, until half my kingdom. He's like, I'll tell you tomorrow at a party with another man. And they went, and then she said, I'll tell you tomorrow at a party with another man. At this point, the king is like, what's up with Haman? He couldn't sleep well. You ever been in bed at night and just felt like something's off? Like something's unsettling about something. Nodada shnas hamelech. Now, what do kings do when they can't sleep? Drink. I'm sure some do. There's a custom with kings is that they have the royal record books read before them. They have people who come in to read. Now, there's 2 books. There's Divrei Hayomim, and there's the Sipurei Hamalchus. There is all of the transcribing of everything that happens in the kingdom. I think in a court of law, that's the transcriber. They don't just write the relevant events. They write every single minute, if you will, the events that transpired. That's the Divrei Yomim. But then there's also another book which is much more the main stories that every king needs to know, like the Iker. The Iker, like the Iker Sifsei Chacham, the Iker Balei Aturim, like you need to know this. So they brought that to Achashverosh, the discussion which one of these books they brought, and they started reading. And what came up? Lahavia Sefer HaZechronis, Divrei Hayom, 2 books. V'yu nikroim lifnei hamelech. All the Sfarim say, and they were reading in front of the king. There's something strange about the grammatical sentence that I just said. And the books were reading in front of the king. No, and they read the books in front of the king. But I didn't say that. I said the books were reading. So the Sfarim point out, the Gemara says, the Megillah says, in the Masechus Megillah, that they are reading like themselves. The book was, I think this is like all Harry Potter stuff, if I remember from a past lifetime. Right? They screamed out like, ah! Like, wasn't that such a thing? Yeah? Am I making that up?
Oh, that was like the hat, maybe?
Oh, it was the hat? Yeah, the hat definitely did that. Wasn't there a book that like...
books in the forbidden section of the library that you needed like a special pass to read. And if you did it, a security thing was that the books would scream when you opened it.
Oh, so there was a scream by the book, but it screamed out the content of the book?
Well, it screamed like...
They read themselves?
It was like a warning so that the librarian would come in.
Oh, security system.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear that. This was that something was... The book was reading itself.
Like an audiobook.
So... That's right. It was and then it was in the days of the king, Achashverosh. That was such a change voice. Yeah, chapter. I have so many memories of like long car trips with my family and like, please turn the tape. You remember that? It was a long time ago.
What?
Yeah, I know, a tape. Another pshat says that the book was, that the Sefer who was reading it, he was erasing it. He was trying to erase the book because he knew that this was going to be, that something was...
Haman's kid?
Yeah, Haman's kid. It was Haman's kid. That he was erasing the book, and the angel Gabriel, who comes in a few places, by the way, the angel Gabriel is always responsible when judgment has to be carried out. Where else did we see Gabriel in the story? He was the one that put a tail onto Vashti. So Gabriel, as Haman's son was erasing the book, Gabriel was rewriting it.
Haman what?
Haman's son
Haman's son?
was one of the readers. He's trying to erase. The book was being read. V'yamotzu kosav asher higid Mordechai al bigsosav aserish. And they saw that Mordechai had saved the king from the two Sarisei HaMelech Meshomrei Asaf, the cupbearers, asher bikshu l'shloach yad b'melech Achashverosh, that they wanted to kill Achashverosh. V'yomer HaMelech, and the king, HaMelech, Ma nasa yakar gedula. Was anything honorable and, why is it two lashonuses? Yakar ugdula. Maybe it means covered. One is covered, one is wealth. Ibn Ezra says Yakar is covered, gedula is wealth. The Manos HaLevi, the Maral says Yakar is covered for a short period of time, and gedula is honor for a long period of time. Meaning, what did we do as an immediate medal of honor, and what did we do as a Hall of Fame level for all time? Status for Mordechai. Nothing had been done for Mordechai. Next verse.
How long was the Purim story from start to finish?
12 years. Mamish. And remember, the part of the story we're up to is a whole year from the time that Haman made the decree to fall out on the 13th of Adar, which is next week, the Yom HaKanisa, which we call Tainus Esther. And at that time it was Nisan. So they had 11 months. We talked about that, this fear of this genocide. Now it's interesting. Haman, the Achashverosh asked, which schar, what should we give to Mordechai? What should we give? Now why did he ask? He said, was there anything done? And they said, no, nothing was done. So he's like, so what should we do? Why ask? So interesting. The Medrash says, it's an interesting point. It says, Shekol ois alayla haya melech chaylim v'royes Haman. That whole night, Achashverosh had a nightmare about Haman. Oimed al gabav v'charbe shlufa b'yodai. That Haman was standing over the king with a sword pulled out of its sheath, ready to kill the king. Umavir bigdei malchusay me'olav. And Haman was slowly taking the clothing off of the king. V'kisra me'al roisha yimavakish lahargai. And he was taking Achashverosh's crown with the intention to kill him. And he woke up like with a certain nervous sweat of, was this a true dream or not? Until the next morning came, and he had to go check out who's in the courtyard. Who's in the courtyard? And they said, Hine Haman is in the courtyard. So he said, it must be, there's something about this dream, there's something. He had to ask, like, there's something going on here. It must be that he's really coming to kill me. Okay, so he said, Vayomer HaMelech, Mi b'chatzer, who's inside the courtyard? V'Haman ba. At that very second, Haman was coming. Why was he in the courtyard at that very second? Remember, this is like in the middle of the night. Because Haman was coming to get a head start that he should be able to take Mordechai and say that Mordechai is rebelling against you, my king, and we're going to hang him on the gallows. So that very second that the king woke up, and Haman is, who's in the courtyard? They said, oh, Haman's here. Lachatzer beis hamelech, achitzoyna. Leimar hamelech, litloi ses Mordechai, ala eitz asher heichin loi. That he was going to the king to tell him, let's go hang Mordechai on the gallows. That, and this is Chazal point out, the Gemara in Megillah Tazayin, asher heichin loi. Why does it have to say asher heichin loi? It should just say, to hang him on the gallows, asher heichin, that he prepared. So Chazal says asher heichin loi. What he prepared, not for him, Mordechai, for himself. Asher heichin loi. Loi. B'ezrat Hashem, Rabbi Isai, it's about to get crazy. It's about to get crazy because we're about to see some major things about to unfold. We're about to see a very wild sequence of events, including Mordechai being paraded around in the royal clothing by Haman himself. We're going to see Haman getting completely drenched in human feces. We're about to see somebody throw themselves outside of a building to their death, and a lot of very scary things that are going to lead up to the crescendo of the entire Purim story of Ein Oid Milvada. We should be zeicher to see the Ein Oid Milvada with Mashiach Tzidkenu b'mehera v'yameinu. Amen. Amen. Kol tu. Kol tu. B'ezrat Hashem.